back. Welcome to, this is the Louie Bellina Show, lunchtime, thanks to Rudy's Barbecue, home of the green chili stew. Programming service announcement. I, Louie Bellina, am a horrible sports talk show host. That's just one of those realities of the universe. So Joe Sheehan newsletter, scheduled to join us, but that's actually just a lie. He was never scheduled to join us because, I absolutely...
That's what I was thinking in my head.
Hey, I absolutely just totally brain cramped and forgot. He's not with us this week. He told me this, but did I write it down? No. Did I put it on my calendar? No. I 3 million % totally forgot completely. He's not with us this week. I don't even remember the why. I don't need to know. But Joe Sheehan is not with us. So here I am, yesterday, fired up, Joe time. All morning long, you've been hearing me say, Joe. No, he's not. It's depressing for me. I love talking baseball with Joe, but he's not going to join us. He was never supposed to. We're calling him, and he's ignoring us first, like, because he's supposed to. I don't know if he's like family traveling. And then finally he picked up. He's like, hey, guys, not this week. And I went, that's right. And I just had to text him and go, hey, man, he's all good, but still. So, programming service announcement. A, I'm an idiot. And B, no Joe Sheehan of the Joe Sheehan newsletter on the D4 Land Services hotline. And most guests, when they're supposed to, when I remember, join us on the D4 Land Services hotline. If you need some help getting your land cleared, land excavated, land fixed up, go to d4landservices.com. Also, forestry, mulching, pond construction, custom metal buildings, d4landservices.com. And we got to talk about the Astros. Jim Crane, what in the wide world of sports is going on? Yesterday, announcement 1, Dana Brown is out. Later on in the day, Joe Espada was offered leave now or go to the end of the year. Espada has decided he will go to the end of the year. Why? The Astros had a homestand that they could have opened up, what was a 2, could have been 4 or 5, which in the AL West, that's an eternity. Instead, they lost to the series to the Angels, then they lost the series to the A's, and it was the weekend, and it was the A's, and it was the way they lost Saturday, it was the way they lost Sunday. I'm just being straight up honest here. The Sunday, they're up 6-0 and rally to lose 7-6. Saturday was like a clown show where Espada accidentally pulled starter Hunter Brown. And like I said at the time, though, it wasn't so much of an accident. Hunter was getting beat up. The fact he only gave up a run in 5 and change was a minor miracle, but he didn't mean it. He signaled and tried to keep him in, and he didn't know what he was doing when he came out of the dugout. The baffling mystery to me is why not both out, both stay, but tell them both they're out at the end of the year. Why is Espada even given a choice? Espada is the one that, to be fair, I don't know what any manager would do with the Astros' current pitching situation. So I'm not even sure if it's an Espada thing. But he has had trouble. He can't identify his pitchers when they're done, before they're done. He goes to the well when the well's been dry. Not before it's dry, when it's known dry. De Los Santos hasn't been reliable for a month. Abreu's back, but he kept going to Abreu 3-4 weeks. And I know you don't just, first time someone gets in trouble, you throw them away forever, but that's the thing, after the expiration dates. And I come back to my original meta statement. I'm not sure how many managers would know what to do considering the Astros pitching situation, where they have 2.5 starters, and at one point it was a 6-man rotation. And their bullpen is their strength. Jim Crane, I know why he fired Dana Brown. I don't think he respects the general manager role and the way he handled Click right after they win a World Series. He intentionally offered a 1-year extension that he knew Click was going to turn down. He tried to play GM and have Bagwell and Reggie Jackson as his assistants. Epic disaster, which has had implications to today. So Dana Brown gets fired, even though Brown never had 100% being the GM. Who does? I mean, the owner always has the final say. He signs the checks, but Crane was a meddlesome. Crane has interfered, and it wasn't just under Dana Brown. He did it to Click too, where he stepped in at the 12th hour and vetoed trades. He would come in and set non-competitive salary cap on his GM. He's never signed a free agent contract competitive with the market, which is why the Astros lose for nothing. Some of the names we know and love. And so you have these GMs that have to work under Craneonomics. One arm tied behind their back. Look back at the trade deadline, and all the insiders are saying that Dana Brown's fate was sealed at the trade deadline. Crane had the deal worked out. Not Crane. Dana Brown had the trade worked out. That would have got them the outfielder they needed, as opposed to the desperation deal for Varsho. Do you remember? And it wasn't a rumor, but the Astros, not really, obviously, but Dana Brown had a deal to send Brian Abreu to the Twins for Trevor Lenark. And at the 12th hour last minute, Crane vetoed it. And I'm telling you, I don't know of another MLB team that doesn't make the deal. A setup guy for an outfielder that you desperately, like oxygen, need? You absolutely make the deal. Crane said no, and Brown gets fired for it. Look, Brown was going to be fired at the end of the year, so they saved 5 weeks. He was going to be fired not because of the trade deadline. Sure, final straw. Jim Crane wanted... Crane told Brown, you cannot trade anyone off the big roster, and he tried to trade Abreu. Got fired for it. Told him, this is your cap. Now, go build a contender at the trade deadline. Crane told Brown to do something impossible, and the impossible didn't happen, so he got fired for doing something not impossible. The end. And then, again, but let me tell you why Dana Brown got fired. Off-season pitcher acquisition. And they went and got a B-tier Korean League pitcher. They signed, C-tier pitcher free, but they did it because of the salary cap. He went and got what he could afford. Crane set that cap. Didn't work out. So, in the end, the man who wrote the checks had a general manager that could not function under Craneonomics. So, he's going to go find someone that can, because that's the reality. He's in charge, and he has his rules. Espada is more fascinating. Espada, someone smarter with better formulas and sabermetrics and stuff would have to tell me what the grade is for Espada as a manager. Here's the one thing I know and I don't need help with. He doesn't help the Astros win. The question is, does he hurt them and cause them to lose games? But he doesn't help them win. He doesn't do anything that's a plus. There's no point in him continuing. And this accidentally removing Hunter Brown wasn't the first oops that he's committed. If anything, a new voice could inspire them. But they've had so many coaches leave the system over the past 3 years. They probably don't have anyone in the system that could lead them for the final 5 weeks. That might be why there was an option. They used to have MLB ready guys as bench coaches and in the minor league. They might not have anyone ready for that. So that could be a part of there's no point in making a change now. That could play into the factor too. When we go with what's next for the Astros, according to a Chandler Rome, and a couple other really great Astros insiders. Here will be the power structure. Crane, he's not day-to-day. He'll final vote. Yes, Jeff Bagwell's going to be a part of his consigliere, his consultation party. But if you want to know, here's two names to keep. Connor Huff, Charles Cook. Connor Huff is a first-year assistant GM, quote, longtime friend of Crane. He's the vice president of business and baseball operations. He's already been promoted once, which surprised a lot of people because he's a first-year assistant GM and he's already got that title. Longtime friend of Jim Crane's, Connor Huff. Also, again, who's Charles Cook? Longtime Astros lieutenant who worked under both Click and Lou now. So he has survived both purges. He understands craneonomics. And the quote is, he's like the most logical person to be the front-facing member of the baseball department, and he's been with the Astros since 2015. Longest tenured assistant GM. So if you're that hardcore, and to be fair, a lot of people don't care. You just want to know the final score. But if you want to know what's going on or what could be next, two names you got to know. I got a third. I'll share in a second. But Connor Huff, first-year assistant GM who somehow has already been promoted to the VP, business and baseball operations. Charles Cook, been there since 2015, longest tenured assistant GM. And if he's still there come like October, has survived two purges. Here's the third name you need to know, and you know this name. Ausmus. Brad Ausmus. He's currently the Yankees bench coach. Teammate and close friend of Jeff Bagwell. Hey, Lou, you mentioned Jeff Bagwell earlier. Yes, I did. Jeff Bagwell, consigliere to Jim Crane. And by the way, Brad Ausmus was the runner-up to Dana Brown in the last search for the GM spot. So you could understand where Brad Ausmus, I don't want to say favorite, because times change, things change, but if Brad Ausmus wanted to be the Astros GM, he's teammate, close friend of the number one most important influential voice in the search. He was runner-up last time. Astros ties. So, three names you need to know. The third name you need to know is Brad Ausmus. I don't know if any of it matters until Jim Crane himself updates his model, because if he doesn't want to change the handcuffs his GMs have, they need to do a total rebuild, because the way forward is the youth movement way. And they need a GM that is minor league oriented, because they have to do the current value system where you have like the three money, you dump all your money into your three guys on top, and then guys you have under control at the minor league money level fill in. But the way they're doing it now doesn't work. That's a system that once the window closed is really just a death rattle. And I don't think Jim Crane knows that, wants to acknowledge that. Because remember something, he said they're going to compete every year under him, but you can't compete like this. This isn't one of the pathways to success. I do know, and maybe you don't. They were a first-place team the whole month of August. They're going to start today. By the way, the Astros are in New York all week long. Yankees Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mets are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can hear the Astros and the Yankees game one tonight, 6:05 first pitch. 6:05 first pitch right here on the Zone, 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM. Astros baseball on the Zone is thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. So we're talking about a first place team. And Lou, you're talking about rebuilds. And, well, if everything was great in their first place team, and you want to tell me, Lou, they don't need all that, then why did they fire their GM and manager yesterday? There's obviously something wrong, and tons of. And I say obviously because they're doing a reset this offseason. I'm going to go back and use that phrase again. Obviously something wrong. I think the Rangers have a problem. I'm going to ask Rusty Burson Thursday. Aggie author and historian Rusty Burson. He joins me on the D4 Land Services every Thursday at 1. We do a lot of maroon and white, but you know, if Rusty doesn't talk Rangers, I think Rusty starts to get sick. So I let him talk Rangers. I don't think they have a good GM. They went with the popular. I think they went with the obvious. I think they went with someone they had to give a chance to. I don't think Chris Young's that good either. I think he's too hesitant to act on the obvious because he has strengths, but I think he's too hesitant to act on the obvious. Let's grab a timeout. We'll be right back. Text messages are welcome. Matter of fact, when we return, I'm going to throw open the ticket booth, and the ticket booth on the Louie Bellina Show is thanks to Dixie Tire Company. And the ticket booth, win tickets to all the places you want to be. Today, food. I'm going to give away the $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. It is Tuesday. This is the Louie Bellina Show on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Listen to The Zone on the Zone app.
Download the app.
Yeah. Thanks to Loyalty Plumbing. The pros at Loyalty Plumbing are ready to serve you, Aggieland.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Visit them. LoyaltyPlumbingLLC.net.
This is the Louie Bellina Show presented by CC Electric. Built on faith, family, and community. CC Electric. You know, during the timeout, a bunch of text messages rolled in. Guess what? Rusty Burson, Aggie historian and author, said, I think Chris Young is severely hindered by Ray Davis's cheapness, much like Crane's cheapness with the Astros. Two big market owners who don't spend like big market franchises, but we'll talk Thursday. Yes, we will, my friend. You know, the fascinating thing about this, and I've always had trouble. Do you know that Houston is not defined as a major market for sports media? They're the fourth largest city in the country. But for the sports media and money and economics, I need to check that. I need to get that updated. But for the longest, and it's probably still true, they don't get defined in that major market thing. And it's always baffled me. Like, how can that be right? Because they're not New York and LA, where media rights are. That's the ultimate floor. Hello. Ceiling. I think Dallas is definitely, right? Because I think it's only the top 10, and Houston ends up like 12. And we're just talking about media right money stuff, not population. And that's always fascinated me. And yeah, the owner cheapness thing, when you look at the Astros payroll, there's two parts to it, okay? One, it's not low. It's not like they're trying to pull a Marlins or something. And I've always been fair about that. Crane spends money. But, you know, no half measures. And that's the thing. The Astros are now at that brink where they spend, but A, it's not wisely. It's misinvested. And B, I hate, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm in pain. Ow, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Look at what LSU did. They told Kiffin, here's 30 mil, and it's enough for year one. Kiffin went, well, look what I got for 30 mil. If you gave me 10 more, I can win a national championship. So they said, here's 10 more. And then it accidentally went from 10 more to 20 more. Because that's the thing. You have to sit down, have an honest evaluation, and go, sure, you said 95, but guess what? And that's where the GM-owner relationship, I guess, where you said 95 mil, but this pitcher who'll be on number 2, I need 4 more to win, X commitment. But Crane doesn't do that. No, I told you to. That's like why the Abreu deal with the Twins. He told Brown, no, I said no one off the major roster. Yes, but you know that outfielder we need that will totally change the top third of our offense. And according to all analytics, said that will be plus 2.4 over the last month, which will win the West by 1.8. I mean, Crane can't speak that or think that. Next text message. By the way, anybody can text 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. By the way, speaking of texting, you can text between now, and I'm going to go to 1:30. Between now and 1:30, if you'd like to win a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. The ticket booth is officially now open. The ticket booth is thanks to Dixie Tire Company. And here is, normally I say you could text anything. No, I'm being very specific. Kind of started hitting on this in the last hour. We're going to jump back into this extremely shortly. And it's the Aggie football questions. What are still questions? We have spent the whole offseason debating what are the pressing questions, what are the defining questions, what will define the Aggie football 2026 season. I personally don't have the same questions. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, who's going to replace Casey Concepcion? I know that was a January question. For me, Louie Bellina, it is not anymore. Mario Cravier healthy. Terry Bussey is the MVP of fall camp. Ashton Bethel Roman broke out last year. Isaiah Horton. The wide receiving core will replace Casey Concepcion. I don't have to give you a name. It doesn't have to be one person. So that was a January question. That's not an August question for me. So between now and 1:30, it can be question or questions. I don't care. If you want to text in, feel free. But when you text, you'll be registered to win a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. And again, it's the ticket booth, and it is open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. Text me your most pressing, the number 1 or 3. Hey, what's on your mind? Next week, we start giving answers. Final. Answers final. There is no off season. It's game week starting Monday, right? So final answers all next week. Final answers from me and the gang that joins me. People like Cedric, people like Braden, people like Mitch, and more. So final answers are next week. So final questions. 979-693-1150. What is your number 1 or 1 through 3? But now that we've been spending 8 months asking, what's your final questions for Aggie football 2026? Joe in College Station. Lou, did you see where former Houston Texans Deshaun Watson has been named the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns despite doing awful in the preseason? Good thing Houston Texans unloaded the giant contract. Boy, Joe, I think that's a multi-layered concept there. I saw it and mentioned it briefly. And yeah, there was nothing, but didn't the latest report say that they're going with Shedeur Sanders? Like, I stopped keeping track because it turned into pure, unadulterated comedy. Because for me, if the Cleveland Browns actually start Deshaun Watson, yep, there it is. Watson, now Browns QB1, regrets ripping fans. If they follow through on that, it's tanking in its highest and worst form. That's all. It's 100% tanking. They're the Arch Manning, Dante Moore sweepstakes. Because he has not done anything, shown anything at all to actually win the job. So it would be blatant tanking to start Deshaun Watson. Now, that very last good thing Houston Texans unloaded that giant contract. They got lucky. They didn't unload it. When they made the deal, they didn't think that, we need to get rid of him now. Correct me. That was a Bill O'Brien disaster trade that turned out to be one of the greatest moves in Houston Texans history. But at the time, wasn't that just a disaster move by Bill O'Brien? How could he do it? It was horrific, right? But nobody knew about how much he liked massages. And once all that came out, the rest is Deshaun Watson history. And he's never come back from that. Because at one point, Deshaun Watson was on the path of NFL Hall of Fame, right? So the Bill O'Brien, if I remember right, move, that was a shocker. It was just another reason why he was one of the worst NFL GMs ever. Because remember, as a coach, did he win 4 AFC South titles, led them to the playoffs? But as a GM, Bill O'Brien was a disaster. So, man, good thing. If I remember, they just purely luck, right? Got lucky. Another text message. Howdy, Lou. Yo. Fueling up in Waco. Why would you spend money in Waco? And gas ain't getting any cheaper. I will say that Waco always looks better in the rearview mirror than the windshield. Don't go there. Don't drive through there. Don't spend money there. There's just certain things I would say no. One, great text message here. A great man once said, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Kiffin agrees, LOL. When you say you're not cheating, you're not trying, it seems to be Kiffin's go-to, like his first instinct. Like, do you think he knows the rules at all? Do you think Kiffin even has a concept of what the rules are? Because I don't. Here you go. What if I redefined it this way? I don't think Kiffin's cheating. I don't think he knows the rules. See, there's a difference in approach. You have to know the rules to cheat. I don't think Kiffin knows the rules. I think he just does what he wants to. And then later on he finds out and he goes, oh, really? Huh. Why would we have a rule about that? I truly do. In my heart, I believe he doesn't know he's cheating. He doesn't have a clue. He just kind of stumbles into things and then says what he thinks, pisses off the world, goes off social media for a day. You know, I don't have to take this. Y'all are offending me. When he's the one that takes action against the universe, comes back, shows a photo of his dog doing yoga with co-eds and moves on. I don't think he knows rules to break. So I don't think he knows he's breaking rules. He doesn't know rules. You get the point. 979-693-1150. Okay, quick timeout. But remember, you have till 1:30. Text in. You might win a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. It's the ticket booth. It's open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. And the concept is simple here. Text me, what is your Aggie football number one? 1, 2, 3, no order, whatever. Actual questions. We spent the offseason exploring. We're starting to get data points. What is your Aggie football questions? Text now, 979-693-1150. Because again, here's my number one example of what I mean. Who will replace Isaiah Horton? That's not a question anymore for me. The answer is the wide receiving core. It's not a who. It's just Isaiah Horton. It's not a who. The wide receiving core. In between, Craver just stays healthy. Yeah, they have Horton. Bussy is like the spring camp MVP, fall camp MVP. Ashton Bethel Roman broke out at the end of the year. And it's like Lou, and I have the same base concept of until they do it, but there's just too many options. There's too many answers. So that's not even it's just not on my list anymore. So what are your actual, as we enter game week, questions you have left, concerns? 979-693-1150. Text now. You might win a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. This is the Louie Bellina Show. I'm inside the Charles Schwab studio, Tuesday on The Zone.
Home, road, or bowl, you can hear Aggie football on The Zone. The Zone.
The Louie Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio, the Tuesday edition of the Louie Bellina Show. In uncertain times, Charles Schwab remains invested in their clients by offering personalized guidance and clarity. Personalized. That's Mark Sim, our local Charles Schwab agent. Mark Sim, right here in College Station. Eat here, sleep here, goes to the games. Look him up. Go get answers to your questions. Learn more. Schwab.com/College Station. Some early text messages, which I'm giving away a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. You get registered by texting, what's your number one? What is the still remaining Aggie football questions entering the season? Because some in January don't exist anymore. Vinny and LaGrange, will the Aggie D force more turnovers this season? You know what's interesting about that, Vinny? It's not a question on my list. That doesn't mean it's not a question. But I don't think they need to do that to go back to the CFP. Every question I have equals how does it get them to 10-plus wins in 2026? Because they proved last year they can win 11 with the amount of turnovers they had last year. So they don't, for me and Lou math, they don't need more turnovers to go to the CFP. So I don't have that as a question. If they were to force more, it would make it easier. If they were to force more is better. I'm not sitting here arguing against forcing more turnovers, but it's not on the essential list for me. So I don't have it as a question for me. But yes, it would be nice. Jim, Louie, I'm questioning special teams. No more block punts, broken coverage, missed field goals. Last year's special teams are not acceptable. Last year's special teams were at a standard that is not acceptable for a CFP contender in Texas A&M. And no one talks about special teams because you kind of can't see them perform even in a practice setting. In my version of the A&M football world, and Elko is a margins guy because he's a defense guy. And the defensive guys are the hidden yards guy. And I cannot see a world where special teams are a point of emphasis this offseason and he addressed special teams. I just can't see it. As a defensive guy, there's no way you can live a life of special teams at the level they played at. I just can't see that. The talent level of the program's going up every year. And when you have talent level, right, your special teams goes up, right? So I expect the special teams, ooh, that's dangerous. Notice I didn't use the word assume. Expect that the special teams will go up exponentially. Bobby, is the OC ready for the season? Legit. And I could put I don't know why he wouldn't be, but notice these explanations of what expectation in other areas, and I don't know why he wouldn't be is probably the worst and weakest of any explanation or answer I can give for a question, right? Seriously. Is the OC ready? His resume, Holman Wiggins, his resume is phenomenal. You look at the people he's coached under, learned under, we'll say mentored under. Phenomenal resume. But the infamous until you do it, SEC, I don't care about the opponent. Fourth quarter, down 7, even up 7. Hell, under 2 minutes, up 7, down 7. We'll say under fire. We don't know how his mind is wired. And remember something, I'm going to throw this out there. And this was an off season. It's his year one where he's not allowed to do everything he wants to do. He has to do everything. He has to do everything that's needed for Marcel Reed. Because remember the talking point. Every decision they made was how to maximize Marcel Reed as opposed to run the best offense possible. You understand there's a difference, right? You might argue, because I've really tried to think about this. The best offense possible is how do you get the best out of Marcel Reed? Does that mean they're running the best offensive system possible or the best offensive system that matches Marcel Reed? That means they're getting the best out of the weapons you have now. And the best coaches are taking the best with what you have. But all these things are not necessarily equal to the same. So is Holman Wiggins able to do everything he believes in or everything he can do with what he has? Don't know. Fascinating concept to me. But if he gets 101% out of Marcel Reed, he will have done the greatest possible job as the offensive coordinator. And Marcel Reed has a very, very high ceiling too. So it's not like that would be a bad thing. So is the OC ready for the season? And remember something, the way the A&M schedule is built, the waters get deeper as the season goes on. Mark English, persistent question that I've not heard addressed. The reliability of the kicking game. How have you not heard it addressed? Everyone talks about the kicker they brought in. What, from Illinois? Oh, no. And his accuracy rate was insane. And I'm serious when I say that. Every time the kicking game has been brought up, they brought in one of the most accurate kickers in the country. So that was the addressing of the field goal kicking. He was one of the best in accuracy. Text message from Brandon and Brian. No. I'm sorry, Brandon. I kind of don't deal in these. 979. If the season goes south, at what point do you start QB2 and prepare for 2027? I could, but it's like they haven't even played game one. This is a team that's prepping for another run to the CFP, and you're asking if the season goes south. How does the season go south? You mean like if they're like 4 losses before November? At no point over the past 8 months have I done my if the season goes south prep. At no point over the past off season have I addressed that scenario. Brandon and Brian. So I don't have a very qualified answer for if the season goes south, when do you start QB2 and prepare for 2027? So they lose to LSU. Do you have them losing to Arizona State? So they're 2-2 coming out of September. Lose another game in the first half of October. That's 3 losses. So lose to Bama, 4 losses heading into the month of November. So then you throw in QB2 to go lose to Oklahoma and Texas, and you go for 6-6, but preparing for 2027? Yeah, I'll admit, I haven't prepped for the season going south. Is it possible? Sure. We've seen enough college football now to realize a couple of bad injuries and so forth. Sure. But sorry, man. That one just didn't pop up on my radar yet. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. You can text in. And again, you could end up winning a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. You have to $130. The ticket booth is open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. The question on the table, questions entering the 2026 season. If that's your question, one of your top 3, you're going to have a long Aggie foot, because even if it comes true, you're going to have a long 2026 season. I think that question is probably the darkest, hardest boss I've heard yet. If the season goes south, that is boss to the nth degree. We'll grab a timeout. More of your questions, more of concerns, more of what's haunting our minds for some people, I guess, for Aggie football 2026. I want you to mark the date September 2nd. DraftKings Game Day arrives with massive deals, exclusive deals, an all-day celebration built for sports fans. The DraftKings Sports app is now live in all 50 states, from Texas to California to Florida, all 50 states. One app, every sport, all 50 states. DraftKings Game Day, it is yours. If you're a new customer to DraftKings, sign up with the code KZNEAM, spend $5, get 200 in rewards within 21 days. Use the code KZNEAM. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim, issued in non-withdrawable prediction dollars that expire in 1 year. Terms available at dking.co/predictions. Promo nationwide based on sportsbook predictions and free-to-play sports. Contest availability varies by state.
You can hear Aggie football online at RadioAggieland.com.
The Louie Bellina Show always say text. Text. And you want to win a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. Yeah, you should text. The ticket booth is open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. Text 979-693-1150. And what's your number one question? Or top three in no order heading into the season? Because, again, this is final answers next week. The off season's ended. I don't have the same questions that I had in January when kind of the off season has begun. But you can call if you want to talk. We've had someone who's calling us. Shay, my producer, started yesterday. And he keeps answering the D4 Land Services hotline because guests join me on the D4 Land Services hotline. People can talk to me on the D4 Land Services hotline, but every time he answers it, all he's getting a dial tone. So we don't know if it's like an automated computer. We don't know if it's a crackhead. We have no clue what's going on right now. But every time Shay's answered it, it's a dial tone. But you can talk to me. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. D4 Land Services. I mean, they fix land, clear land, excavate land. They can help you out. D4landservices.com for more info. They also do these custom metal buildings, and they do them from the land up. Check it out, D4landservices.com, and you can check out everything they do at D4landservices.com. Dave in College Station, he said, who on A&M's schedule has fewer questions? Mentioned this, I think, yesterday, maybe Friday. When you take a look at the pool of teams that are going to fight for 3 and 4, and what's 3 and 4? The last two spots out of the SEC. SEC will put 4 into the college football playoff. A&M, OU, LSU, Bama. A&M plays all of them, and they all kind of have this similar question. The quarterback, O-line. Quarterback, O-line. They're all very similar. The question marks are similar. Take a look at A&M on the offensive side. Can A&M replace 4 starting O-linemen? Can Holman Wiggins replace Colin Klein? And then people mention Marcel Reed. If you take that trio, because if we broke it down by sides of the ball and everything, and not just the meta of A&M, that's your O questions. Holman Wiggins, O-line, Marcel. I think everything Marcel actually gets answered by the first two. Because if Holman Wiggins is more than ready for the SEC, and the A&M O-line grades out as a B- or higher, there's no Marcel question. He was an 11-win quarterback a year ago. And if the O-line is good to go, and Holman Wiggins is good to go, Marcel's going to get you 11 wins again. Can he beat Texas? Can he win in the CFP? I don't know that. Because I don't know if he failed in those games due to pressure or was it mechanics. Like, has anyone actually said what happened in those games? He was abnormally bad. The Miami game, was it all the wind? Like, there's so much guessculation, no one will definitively say. His read time in Miami was so bad. Was it just a zone? Did they run the greatest zone in the history of college football? But to the season. If A&M's O-line is a B- grade or higher, and Holman Wiggins is more than ready for the SEC, Marcel leads you back to the CFP. That's not on my radar of concerns. If the O-line's not ready, nothing matters. Nothing. If Holman Wiggins is not ready, nothing matters. Nothing matters. So Marcel actually is not a question because everything my question's for is making the CFP, getting back 10 plus CFP, 10, because that's the goal. That is the top priority because then everything's changed. Everything Aggie football history has changed. You know, on the defensive side, I have the concerns, but Mike Elko has now acquired enough talent that I feel like in no year will the defense be the cause for failure. There might not be the best version. They might have something weaker than another. But like in year one, Elko just had what he inherited and had one like portal to get more of what he needed. But now he's had enough time that he's always going to have enough players to the floor. The floor will only be so low during the time. Now, the ceiling is what might vary, but the floor will only be so low now with Elko. So what will the linebacking core look like? You know, if Ray Coney, which now Tony mentioned last week, Olin yesterday, if Ray Coney's that guy, the A&M defense is going to be fine. You could take the rest of the concerns, and if Ray Coney's that guy, it's all good on D side. So I don't think they'll ever be the cause of failure under Elko. Oh, they could be better. Oh, this isn't as great as we want. But the cause of failure? Minimal. Not most likely. When we come back, more of your text messages. When we come back, the final hour of the Louie Bellina Show on a Tuesday, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, community, on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.